Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video I want to review my own code. This is code that I written some time back, and I'm still writing, I'm still working on it, and so I just like to review my own code and see some of the things that I could change and some of the improvement that I could make in my own code. So one of the key skills of a developer is to review code and just be able to see some of the improvement that you can make in your code or to someone's code. So that is one key skill that can transition someone from being a junior developer to a mid-level developer, or from a mid-level developer to a senior developer. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So what I'm going to do is that let us first go to the web.php. And one thing I noticed about this guy here, the web.php, is that you see these routes. Okay, I have a middleware here that protects some routes here, but you see these routes here, they're basically routes that point to views, and they're using some controllers here. So after checking out Laravel documentation, I saw there is no need to have these controllers if these routes are directly pointing to the views. All right, this is like it just add more files to the code without necessarily doing a lot of logic. So what we can do is that we can just have this route using views directly like this. So you can just have them pointing to views, and then the first one, of course, is the route, the first argument. The second argument should be the view where this file should be able to go, right? And this by default should go to the folder. If you check on the resource section here, I have a folder known as frontend, and then it has some files here. So this route should go to the front end. That it will be the view dot home. All right. So I can change also these other guys to be view. Let's also change this to be view, and also this to be view, and lastly this to be view. And then this should go to, okay, this should be the same. This home route and this slash default route should be the same. So I'll do something like this. So this should be like that. And then this one about should go to the front end dot about. All right. And then this should go to front end dot contact. All right. And lastly, this one for services should go to front end dot services, this view here. So when I do this, then it means that I won't need the controllers that I created. And in this case, if you go to the controllers, I have these controllers that I created here about, so I can just delete this guy. So let me just delete this. Contact, I can delete this. The home controller, I can also delete this. And then the service controller, I can also delete this. For now, I'll just leave these names here for the route because I'm using these names in my code. So if I go to the browser and do a refresh here, the code should be okay, or the site should be okay, and nothing should break. Yeah. So if I do a refresh, everything is okay. If I go to about page, just try and see. Okay, I'm getting an error here. It tells me that Laravel throws some error there, and to fix the error, very simple, just make sure you run this command, php artisan optimize, and then it will clear the cache that had saved the previous controller. And so now if I go to the browser and just click now any page, we can see that the links works fine. All right, so Laravel will remove any changes or any cache that was saved concerning the controller. So now if I click services, everything works fine. So that is okay. So now we are done away with our controllers, which were not necessary and which require just to access the views. So that is the first thing. Secondly, let me just go to my controller here. I'll go inside the course controller, let me first go inside the course lecture. And I noticed something here is that when I store a course lecture, I'm using form request. That is why you're not seeing me doing validation here. This is an advanced stuff, and I'll make sure I'll have a lesson of the same to use form request and JS validation. Yeah, for now is that inside my course lecture controller, I'm doing some repetition here, and every time you see that you're repeating code, it means then you need to kind of optimize your code. So if you check here, is that basically what I'm doing here, I'm saving files, yeah, and I'm repeating the same code. Why can't we just abstract this code and have it somewhere to some custom class, and then just call the method with the specific parameters that require to be called? So I created here a custom folder called custom classes. In this folder, what I'm going to do is that actually this naming is not good, so I'm going to rename this name. So let me just factor rename and change this to be custom, yeah, rather than custom classes. That looks fine. And then here I created one of the classes and I called it manage images to manage images. Why can't we just rename this to be manage file, and then it can be able to handle all the files that we have? We can have maybe a method to handle the images. We can have maybe again another method to handle the PDFs. I think that will be a better practice. So I'm going to rename this class to be manage file, and I'm going to refactor. So it's good always to refactor your code when you are renaming, so that these changes can be applied to every part of your code that you have used. Yeah, if you don't refactor, what will happen is that this code won't be applied to every part, and you will start seeing error when you try to test your code. So I've done that. So I'm going to create again here now a static method. Let us call this method to be public. Public static function. Let us call this process files. Let us call it like that for now. So this will be specifically for processing files which are not images. So let us name it, okay, process, let us call it process non-image files. I think that makes sense. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going inside the course lecture here, and I'm going to copy this guy here. Let us copy this guy, go to our manage files. I'm going to paste this guy here. So you see this guy here, lecture content. This is the file type. So what I can do is that I can have a type that will be passed here as file. All right, and then we can have maybe, let us say this is file. Maybe we can have we have this here is what we can call as the path, and then lastly let me see, we actually find. So I'm going to let us call this uploaded file. Okay, I also like naming my files with the snake case naming. That is just a personal preference, because I find it easier to read code that has been named with the snake case naming rather than the camel case. All right, so I can now replace our code with this. So I'll just copy this and do this, and there's a reason why I'm reassigning this this way. I could have just copy this and pass this everywhere a file is, but there's a reason why I'm doing this. And then the destination path, which will be our path here, so we don't need to have this now. we can just remove this and copy our path here and just paste our path here, and then actually let us just try and do this. Rename this to file, and then we can just remove this guy, and then from here we can just return the file name, because that is what we need to store in the database once we have stored this image. All right, so once we have stored this file, we need only the file name. So this looks fine. We get the file, and then we get the client original name, and then we move it to the specified path here, and then we return the file path. So going back to our code here is that now what I can do is that I can say, let me delete this. I don't need this now. I also don't need this. I can say now manage files, our guy here, and I can call process and an image files, and this expect us to pass a file. So I'll get this file from the request. Let me just confirm the name of this file from this guy here. This is request lecture content. So going back here, request lecture content, comma, and then it also expect me to pass a path, and I'm just going to copy this like this, and I'm going to paste this here. So like that, and then I can now just copy this guy and replace this content here. So our code is now much shorter and much cleaner. So that is fine. And then let me see, I think we are good. Yeah, so let me test and just get back. And so now if I go to my dashboard here, this is my dashboard. Let me just do a refresh here. So I want to check, the one that I was checking was to upload a lecture. For example, now if I just do this, let me just choose a file. It should just upload as it was uploading, but now our code is much cleaner. So I just choose a dummy file here and just save changes. Okay. So it refreshes, and then if we go, you can actually see that the file is here. And if I go, okay, this file, I haven't put any security there in the public folder inside the course lecture. So this is the file that we have here. So everything so far is working fine. Let us try edit and see if something has broken. So I'll just try to edit this, and then I can do what? Choose another file, and then let me choose this one. Yeah, I'm just trying to edit this file and see if it will do the upload again. So lecture updated successfully. Do a refresh. Then if I open this, yeah, it has been updated. And if I go inside the lecture, we can see the file that has been updated. But one thing to note is that our file here is that it is when it uploads, is storing the same file which was initially uploaded, which is not, again, a good practice. You don't have to have multiple redundant file which you're not using while you're using one when you do an update. So I've written some small code here to clean up that. Let me just check in the course controller here, and this is the code. So in this code, when someone passes the course that you want to update, I get the course image URL from the database, and then I check that image if it exists in the path which has been provided, and if it exists, then we remove that image before we upload a new image. And this can be improved further, whereby we can maybe set when someone is updating the image note or the upload content not to be required. For now I've put required, so that when there is no image, then we won't do any update. While when it provides an image or any content, then you should update that content and delete the old one. For now, just delete the old one, just to clean up code and just to ensure that we do not have code accruing and just clamping up in this. So this should occur on the update, and the update right here. So just do something like this, and then so for now, let me see. Okay, so what we can actually do is that we can actually pass this this guy to manage files here and create a new method. That would be a good practice. So let us create a new method here, and this method will be maybe remove file. Yeah, remove file, something of that sort. And it, of course, it will take the file. Let me see. It will take the file. This is it will take the image path only. Yeah, so in this case we can say it will take the file underscore path. Just I can do like this, and then I can remove this, then I can go back here and just cut this code here, so you don't need to do this. You can go here and paste this guy here. Let me remove this comment, and then the file path. So for now, let me just do this and say we just cut this here and paste it here, and then this file path will be the file path here. Then just remove this, and then what I can do is that I can actually cut this guy now. This should be file path, all right, like that. So that is okay. So this is a void function. It doesn't return anything. So if I go here, I can now call this can say remove. Let me check here. Okay, so I can say remove, I can say manage files, and remove file. It expects a file path like that, and so our guy here will be lecture, and this will be URL like that. And then if I go now to the images, I can also refactor this now. Can just do this. This should be, let me do this, and also delete this and say manage files, remove files. It expect path like this, and this looks okay. This looks fine. If I check here, what is this error? Okay, did. So everything looks fine so far. So now we have that. So we don't need to repeat the code that we had here in remove files. So anytime we need to remove a file, we'll just call our method here, all right? And then it will do the necessary. So, and again, maybe later what we can do is that we can create two methods here, one for update and one for updating and one for creating. So now after putting that method is that let me now just show you what will happen. Let me just delete this files that are here. So now when I update a file, it should delete the older file which was there, all right? And then we should only have one file. So in our case here, for example, let me just delete these guys here. So okay, let me delete this. And lastly, let me delete this other lecture here. Okay, so we have no lecture here. So let me add a lecture here and just choose a file and demi file here. So let us pick this one here and save. All right, so now if I edit, it should only have one file in the lecture folder. So let us choose the same file. Let us choose another file, like let us see. Okay, let us choose this one, a PDF. Save this one here. Okay, the file has been updated. As you can see, now we have the PDF here. But if I go to, when I go inside the lecture guy here, is that okay, the file hasn't been deleted, and that is because I messed up. I forgot to change the path where I'm going to delete these guys. So let me just change this path. It should not go to the image. Instead, it should go to the course lecture. Let me see. Okay, we don't have anywhere. We're using that code again. So let us try again. Let me just delete everything again here. Delete. And this one also delete. So, and also delete this lecture. Then let us upload another lecture here. This guy. So the lecture has been uploaded. Let us edit. And now when we edit, we expect to have only one file in our lecture content, which points to the current updated lecture. So let me just upload this one. Then if I check here, the lecture has been updated, as you can see the name here. Then if I go to the files now, you can see that actually we have only one file in this public folder, and that is the one or the current update. So that will drastically also improve the speed and also the caching of our project. So let me just try again here and do again an edit here and just upload another file so that we can confirm this. So let me upload this guy. This is quite big file. So let us see. It is taking a moment. Lecture updated successfully. All right. And then it will do a refresh. Boom. And if you check here, it has been updated. If I go back to the code, we can see we only have one lecture. It has deleted the earlier one. And so that is what we exactly wanted. So I've refactored this code. This code can be refactored further here. We can combine maybe later this one to be in one single method known as update method, and then just call that method here rather than doing something like this. All right, but for now that is okay. So what I'm going to do is that there are some files here that I'm returning relationships, and I realize they also affect the speed of the site. Why? Because I'm returning relationship, and there's a problem of n+1, whereby if you don't load the relationship earlier when you are calling the model in the controller, and then you call that relationship in the view, it will perform like a query for each of those relationship that you failed to call on controller. All right, so what I mean is this. For example, if I go into course section here, we have this guy here that gets the course section, and as you can see, I'm returning the course, which is not really good, because here what I'm doing is that I'm returning only a select statement. All right, select course where course ID, for example, equals to my course ID that I'm passing here. But when I go into the view, what will happen is that since I've not returned the section together with the courses, when I go into the view admin course section index here, so let us go to the view that is inside the our guy here. Let me just close this. Inside our admin course section index here, is that I'm using this section, all right, here. So what I'm doing here is that I'm calling section for each of the course. All right, I'm calling section for each of the course, and yet I haven't declared or haven't associated this course earlier when I was calling this course. So here it will run a query for each of these courses. All right, for each and every of these courses it will run a query. So that will be n queries, all right, plus the other query which I run here, this one. So that will be a total of n plus 1. So the way you can avoid this is by calling this course with the relationship that it has. And in our case here, we have a relationship by the name sections, all right. And then now I can just call, if I go to this model here, you can see we have this relationship here. So if I come back now, and then I can now, from after eager loading, I can now call the find method like this. So this will reduce the queries to only one query. Yeah. And later I'll show you using the Laravel debugger how this greatly improves the performance of the code. So the last change that I would like to make in this lesson, I can see it is getting a little bit longer, is that when I go to this register, I'm using the normal authentication, not using any fancy authentication like Sentinel or Sparty. In this case, I'm just using the normal authentication. Is that inside this create function, I added some code here for generating a reference number, and it uses a number and then alphabet. Then I shuffle the alphabet and I get the first 3 strings, and I also shuffle the numbers and I get the first 3 strings. And then I concatenate that to generate a reference number. So personally, I don't think this is the best practice. This create function should be just concentrate on creating the value it requires rather than starting generating these values here. So we can have another private method here. Since this method we are not accessing it outside the class, so you can say generate, you can say reference number like that, and then this should return type string, so I can add that here like this. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to, let me just remove this here and just cut this guy here like this. I'm going to paste it here. So let me just remove these spaces and format this, and then I'm going just to return this guy now. So return this guy, and then down here, so where we have the reference number, I can just use generate reference number. Yeah, so that is cool. I think we are good, so that anytime I need to change the structure of generating the reference number,
I can just change inside this function, and that will be good. I think this now looks much cleaner than the first design. So that is it for this lesson. Next time I'll continue again to review this code and we refactor even much more. There are a couple of things that I'll show you guys how we can be able to make this code much cleaner and just have a clean code. And with that, that brings us to the end of this lesson, and until we meet again, bye bye.